It's 1 o'clock. So we can get started with the last organizational meeting of this term. So I'll call the meeting to order for Tuesday, October 22nd, 2024. Attendance at the start of the meeting is 100% with Councillor Jolly and Councillor Broadhead virtual. And I need a motion to adopt the agenda. Thank you, Councillor Killick. Go ahead.
That the October 24th, 2024 agenda be adopted as presented.
Awesome. Call for the vote. Here we go. Voting is closed and that passes unanimously. All right, so third on our agenda is presentations, delegations and announcements. And because it is the org meeting, we are lucky to have our poet laureate in attendance, Ari Annette, or Ari, Zach for short, is here with us. So Ari, why don't you come down to the microphone? It's always nice to kick off the org meeting with something a little bit more ceremonial and special. So I was talking to Ari on the way up here. She's got a speech or a poem that she's very excited to read to us, one of her favorites. So go ahead when you're ready, Ari.
Can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah, is that mic on? Yeah, I don't know if the mic's on. I could hear you, but not. Weston, Natalie, could you hear Ari at home?
Speaking up.
No, okay, we need the mic on.
Okay. Not sure. Okay.
Oh, yeah, no. Wes, give us a thumbs up when you can hear Ari.
Hey,
We lost Natalie. Hmm?
Should I keep talking for a moment?
Not yet. There is a button I think you have to push down here to get it on. Running up. We always have the portable mic if need be.
I think, yeah, the microphone should be working right now. So you might just have to speak.
Okay, I'll speak.
It's not on, no. Where's the portable mic? We'll figure it out. Otherwise you can come sit in my chair, use my mic. Oh, there we go.
Hello.
Yeah, that's working. IT solutions. Perfect.
All right. Everyone can hear me okay now?
Yeah, that's better. Yeah.
Distance. Okay, this is a poem some of you not off to the best start.
Keep it right tight to your, yeah, so they
Yeah.
can hear you
Yeah,
online.
sounds good. Okay, so this is a poem some of you may relate to, may have some memories that it may spur up. I like to call it a poem about being young and in love in the city of Vancouver. It is called Canby. The cargo ships glide slow with purpose. In a few minutes, we will walk to history, material, spectate the throes of progress in glass cases, looking, never touching. In glass, I guide you by the hand, pull a little without thinking. We are at the ocean, a destination never thought. I squeeze your hand as the plane touches tarmac, nervous in that way that the stomach twists, writhes, settles into butterflies. I feel this in the garden, overflowing with greenery as my cheek turns red as you kiss it. We exchange bank account balance for memories immutable. I wait patiently for you to figure out my camera. Record this in gelatin for all time. I flash a peace sign, 4 stamps on my wrists, waving, smiling. In the morning, we share a meal. I meet your eyes this time, contrasting yesterday. Render them insoluble, incapable of meshing into sand, recording 5 days, 5 days away. In the morning, I will roll into you, speak gibberish into your ears. You laugh. I tell you later how happy I am to hear this sound so often. Time passes slow. Oh, so slowly. Without complaint, without resistance, the tide is gentle, slowly caressing the shore. I liken it to you, steering my face, gentle, where you want it, leaving little black marks, holding it still, looking into my eyes, planting a kiss on my nose. Look into deep brown circles, giant black pits. At night, in darkness, in the dingy peace of the 19th century, you tell me you love me. I feel the fool forever doubting it. We set sail tomorrow. I will hold your hand as we fell the waves in steel, travel further from home, share memories, I'm sure, of kindness, compassion, humor, nerves, quiet courage, unfettered resolve, soft love. Before heading home, returning to lives left behind, resuming without pause. Remember the ocean. We'll always have it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ari. As you were reading that, I was trying to connect what we're about to do with a love affair in Vancouver. But no matter the connection or not, we really honestly all appreciate you coming to kick this off in the right way. Anyone else have any comments or questions for Ari? Just Ken says he cannot remember being young. You remember being in love. You and Peggy are still. Awesome. Thank you guys. And thank you to the handlers. Okay, where are we? And that was our only registered presenter, so we will skip right into the business items for the org meeting. Marta, do you have any presentations on any of this?
I just have introductory remarks to kind of introduce what we're doing.
For both
today.
4.1 and 4.2?
Yeah, so I'll do 4.1 first and then.
Okay, start off then.
Okay, so 4.1 is the organizational matter. So there's 3 sets of motions before you for your approval. So the first set of motions is to approve the regular council meeting schedule and standing committee, the whole meeting schedule for the next year. It's very similar to this year's in terms of the breaks that are scheduled. However, you will notice one change, which is that the last council meeting of the term is September 16th. And that's because we can't have any council meetings 4 weeks before the election, and the election will be October 20th. So that's really the only change there. So the council meetings will remain at 1 o'clock. They'll be here and virtual, and the standing committee, the whole meetings will be in DCB, Douglas Cardinal Boardroom, and also virtual. That's the first set of motions. And then the second set of motions is to set the date for the next organizational meeting, which will be the first meeting of the next term in November 2025. And then lastly is to approve the deputy mayor roster schedule. And that is all my remarks, but I can answer any questions you have.
Is there a motion to actually set the org meeting for November 3rd? Because it's not in the calendar.
No, it's not in the calendar. So the calendar is just till September 16th, essentially. And then the second motion or the second set of motions is to set the actual, it's the inaugural meeting, the organizational /
Oh,
inaugural
November
meeting.
3rd. There it is. Yes.
November 3rd, 2025.
The only reason I'm asking is if results are delayed, And we still need 2 weeks of orientation or whatever. Is November 3rd
That's the,
flexible?
that is the last possible date.
Okay,
There's a legislated timeline within which we have to hold the org/inaugural meeting, and that is the last possible
Okay.
date it can possibly be, which is why we scheduled it on a Monday instead of
Okay.
on a Tuesday, to give us the most amount of time to get all of the council orientation and counting from the election completed.
all right. That's the only question I had. Any other questions? I think I'll pick Natalie to make this motion. She's the fastest reader.
It is, oh, thank you, Grace. So, that the schedule for regular meetings of City Council and Standing Committee of the Whole for the period November 1, 2024 to September 16, 2025 is shown on the 2024-2025 Council Committee calendar attached to the October 22, 2024 agenda report entitled Organizational Matters be approved. You want me to just keep going?
Yep,
That the regular meetings of City Council will commence at 1 p.m. on their scheduled dates unless a different starting time for a meeting is determined when the proposed agenda for that meeting is established through the agenda planning process under the procedure bylaw. That meetings of the Standing Committee of the Whole will commence at 9:30 a.m. on their scheduled dates unless a different starting time for a meeting is determined when the proposed agenda for that meeting is established through the agenda planning process under the procedure bylaw. That the regular meetings of City Council will occur in the council chambers at St. Albert Place with an option for council members of the public to attend or participate through an electronic platform. And the scheduled regular Standing Committee of the Whole meetings will occur in the Douglas Cardinal Boardroom at St. Albert Place with an option for council members of the public to attend or participate through an electronic platform.
Yep. you can keep going. Do 2. and
Okay.
2. Yeah.
That the next organizational meeting will occur on November 3rd, 2025, and that the following roster for deputy mayor for the 2024-2025 council year is established, and that in the absence of both the mayor and deputy mayor for the next scheduled deputy mayor shall assume the role of acting mayor. 2024 November, December, Councillor Birmansky. 2025 January to February, Councillor Jolly. 2025 March to April, Councillor Hughes. 2025 May to June, Councillor Killick. 2025 July to August, Councillor Mackay. 2025 September to October, Councillor Rodhead. Not bad for being sick.
Awesome. Any comments?
It's my last one.
Anyone else? I see no one asking questions, so I will call for the vote. Sorry, voting was closed and that passes unanimously. Right, 4.2, go ahead, Marta.
Thank you. So 4.2 is the legislative appointments matter on the agenda. So that is nominating committee had met on October 1st and had recommended appointments to the council committees and external committees that council members are required to sit on. So this motion before you is just to approve the recommendations from the nominating committee from the October 1st meeting.
All right. Councillor Bermansky asked me a quick question before the meeting started. If we know why the intercity forum on social policy does not have an alternate, and I actually did not know the answer to that. Go ahead.
Is not, that's our appointment, or is that the?
No,
Because
yeah, that's our appointment. Yeah,
That's true, because in the past, I sat on that, you sat on that, or.
I sat on that as a member of Alberta
That's right.
municipalities, not
And
as a
that's where I
member of
was,
council.
and that's where I was temporarily confused.
I don't know if there's anything we can do today, Councillor Bermansky, but we could do a little bit of investigation and see their terms of reference, and then we could probably appoint a alternate at another date. That's correct, Marta, right?
Yeah, we'll look into it.
Okay, thanks. Other than that, any more questions? All right, that's good. So I'm glad we don't have to read all those names. And so does anyone want to make the motion? Oh, sorry, Councillor Hughes, go ahead. Oh, you have a question?
No, they hit the button, sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm going to the motion. That elected officials be appointed to council committees and external agencies as specified in the document entitled 2024-2025 Appointment of Elected Officials, provided as an attachment to the October 22nd, 2024 agenda report entitled Legislative Appointments for a one-year term unless otherwise specified.
Any comments? All right, call for the vote. Voting's closed and that motion passes unanimously. I adjourn the meeting. 5 minutes. All right, council. I guess fourth time was 15-minute org meeting.
Just stay on the same meeting. Oh, yeah.
This is the loudest tie I own, so it's a ring.
All right, we are ready to start our special council meeting for Tuesday, October 22nd, 2024. Call the meeting to order. Attendance at the start of the meeting is the same attendance at the last meeting, which is 100% with 2 virtual. I need a motion to adopt the agenda. Councilor Mackay, go ahead.
And that the October 22nd, 2024 agenda be adopted as presented.
Thank you. Call for the vote. There we go. Voting's closed. Motion passes unanimously. We have no presentations, so therefore no business arising. So we're straight into the CAO presentation on the 2025 proposed budget plan.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Madam Mayor and councillors. I hope you'll indulge us. We agreed this year that we would share our own screens, which is probably a recipe for disaster. And so we've got a couple of machinations through this. If I could begin by saying, obviously, very pleased on behalf of administration to be introducing the proposed 2025 to 2027 financial plan, and the 2025 budget to you for your consideration. Before beginning, we figured we'd set the bar a little bit higher, and I will turn it over to our Managing Director of Corporate and Emergency Services for a bit of a surprise.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. So I'm pleased today to help kick off the 2025 budget session by sharing our newest informational video. This time focused on the municipal budget. So I want to offer my appreciation to the financial and strategic services teams and the communication and public affairs team for all their efforts in putting this video together.
Is there any blooper reels at the end?
No, and there's no Sound of Music soundtrack either, Mayor.
Every day, your city delivers services, programs, and maintains essential infrastructure for over 70,000 residents and 3,000 businesses, making us one of the best cities in Canada to live, raise a family, and do business. Everything residents and businesses use daily, from the roadways we travel to the water we drink, is maintained and supported by our city's planning and budget. Did you know The city's budget funds over 150 services and programs you rely on, over 100 kilometers of trails you walk, ride, and adventure on, transit that gets you from point A to B, recreational facilities you visit for sports and activities, clear roadways in the winter and maintained parks in the summer, regular garbage pickup, policing, fire, and ambulance services that keep our communities safe, social programs and support, and emergency preparedness for the unexpected. Our municipal budget is built and balanced to fund all of these programs and services. Money comes into the budget from different sources, including property taxes, fees, such as pet licenses, utility rates and user fees, and grants. Through careful planning, money is distributed to the operating budget and the capital budget to meet current and future community needs. What do these two budgets include? The operating budget pays for the day-to-day activities to maintain services and run the city. This includes the costs associated with operating city facilities and cultural or recreation amenities, staffing and salaries to run the programs and services you rely on and value, and sustaining our healthy and natural environment. On the other hand, the capital budget pays for maintaining, repairing, or replacing essential infrastructure, such as roadways, underground utilities, city facilities, and equipment, and the planning and construction of new neighborhoods, amenities, and roadways needed to welcome future residents and businesses. When establishing the municipal budget, City Council takes into consideration your feedback. City Council also considers the impacts of changing markets, inflation, and government grants, while balancing community needs and ensuring valued services are funded. During budget deliberations, City Council assesses these factors and approves the current budget. So, the next time you go for a walk along a trail system, ride a bus, or take in a show at the Art and Theater, keep in mind how the city's budget supports our diverse community needs, now and in the future. To learn more about current and past budgets or annual reports, visit stalbert.ca/COSA/finance.
I love it. Yep. And that will be shared publicly.
That will be shared publicly. So obviously, this council is aware of all of that. This is obviously designed to communicate with our residents in terms of a bit of a framework of municipal budgeting and all the factors that go into it. In hindsight, I probably should have gone before this. So I didn't set the bar high and now I might fail to meet it. But if with your perception or with your indulgence, I'll carry on with today's presentation. Yeah, and obviously this is the first in a series of administrative presentations. This one looking at the corporate level wide budget as a whole, and then that will be followed up by 2 days of presentations looking at the more functional components therein. The financial plan and budget, as you're well aware, is a product of a collaborative ongoing conversations between council and administration. And I will share my screen and get this started in earnest. In many ways, today marks both an end and a beginning. It is the end and the culmination of a great deal of administrative work over the course of the last year to craft this proposal, but clearly kickstarts the heavy lifting on your part, on council's part, to assess, debate, and decide on this budget to the betterment of our community. You've seen this before, what we affectionately call in administration the spaceship slide. The City of St. Albert follows an established strategic framework to align the city's strategic and business planning, budgeting, management, and reporting practices and processes to achieve the outcomes established in the community vision on the left side of the screen and your council's strategic plan. The proposed budget was informed by your approved service and service levels inventory, which forms about 81% of the city's budget. So the day-to-day delivery is about 81% of our entire budget. Your strategic plan and the decisions made in previous budgets that have ongoing impacts, for example, infrastructure impacts that stem multi-year investments, also impact the budget. Although a rolling 3-year budget is prepared to enhance this process and reinforce the commitment to long-term financial strategies, administration presents a 1-year budget for your approval. This process ensures the most current economic climate and costs associated with delivering services to the community are applied. Before I present the details of the proposed 2025 budget, I would like to take a few minutes to talk about the environment within which we operate, and that environment that has informed our business planning and proposed budget. I'll speak briefly about the external environment, followed by some additional business planning and budget factors that were considered when developing this proposal. Finally, I'll culminate with an overview of City of St. Albert's proposed 2025 municipal and utility budgets and the next steps, including some key dates for public participation opportunities that will help inform your final decisions during your budget deliberations. Several external factors continue to impact the city and therefore our plans and budget. The city's population and urban footprint continue to grow, requiring additional funds to extend and maintain services in growth areas. Simply put, more streets require more snow clearing, more parks require more maintenance, and so forth. Depending on the type and scope of development, the assessment growth does not always cover the additional operations and maintenance costs, and so we look at the city as an entire ecosystem. Provincial government policy changes have impacted municipal governments with reduced revenue sources and increased costs for some programs and services, with the recent implementation of regulations associated with Bill 20 late last week. However, there are also some positive trends in 2025 for the City of St. Albert in particular, stemming from partnerships with the Government of Alberta, with the anticipation of receipt of a special grant funding in 2025 for the construction and widening of Ray Given Drive. Like our residents, the city is experiencing significant inflationary pressures with increased costs required to operate the city and deliver approved services to the community. Simply put, in general terms, it costs more to deliver the same services. Finally, the city has taken on more debt to fund investments for the future. And with an increased cost of debt, it is costing our city more to borrow money than a few years ago. Having said that, there is good news on the horizon with the recent Government of Alberta announcement and their commitment to the provision of lower cost borrowing to municipalities. Turning now to the economy, inflation has stabilized at around 2% over the course of 2024, reflecting the Bank of Canada's efforts to bring inflation closer to its 2% target rate. This stability is essential for consumer confidence and planning for operational costs. Unemployment in Alberta stands at about 7.5% over the course of 2024, reflecting the slowdown in job growth after a few years of recovery. The increase in unemployment is tied to higher interest rates and economic adjustments across multiple sectors. GDP growth is forecast at about 2.9%, indicating a continued but slower recovery in Alberta's economy, particularly in the energy and services sectors. This growth rate, while positive, reflects a more tempered economic expansion compared to previous years and obviously has impacts in terms of the provincial government's ability to fund certain programs. Alberta continues to attract newcomers, supporting population growth and demand in key sectors such as housing and services. Despite challenges in the labor market, the overall economic outlook remains stable as the province moves forward into 2025. As Council is well aware, municipalities in Alberta and Canada writ large have 3 revenue streams: property taxes, user fees and charges, and grants, as you saw in the video. The last of these items largely come from other orders of government, who also impact the city's operating environment via their policy decisions. This year, there were several items worth noting of impact to the City of St. Albert's fiscal picture, specifically stemming from provincial government decision space. First of all, the provincial government includes Ray Given Drive as a line item in their budget, with the first installment of funding anticipated for next year in the amount of $25 million for phase 3 of the project. St. Albert is one of the only municipalities in Alberta to have a line item project in the provincial budget, which again is commendable to Council for working with the provincial government, particularly the Ministry of Alberta Transportation and Economic Corridors, to achieve this partnership. Secondly, Council sponsored a 2022 Alberta Municipalities Resolution calling on the province to grow the local government fiscal framework, LGFF for short, at a 1-to-1 ratio, which it will now do. The LGFF funding envelope will increase from $722 million this year to $820 million in the next year. However, it is worth noting that LGFF holistically remains about 40% less on an annual basis than the historical Municipal Sustainability Initiative funding. And that's indicated by the graph on the right-hand side provided by Alberta municipalities. Third, in September, the province announced it would restore preferential lending rates to municipalities, reversing a 2021 policy decision that took this tool away. This action is aligned with Council's 2023 Alberta Municipalities Resolution, which called on the province to do just that. When this tool was taken away, it resulted in an additional 1.48 million in interest payments to the province on loans obtained in 2022. Mayor Herron, I know, had the opportunity to thank Premier Smith for this on Friday as part of the Mid-Sized Cities Mayor's Caucus, and this is very positive news as we
It
look
was
at
a bit of a
those.
backhanded comment.
From a challenges perspective, the province's 2024 budget did not restore operational funding or revenue streams associated with the province keeping a greater share of fine revenue, paying less for provincial properties located within the city of St. Albert, and billing municipalities for DNA and biology caseworks. When combined, these three elements equate to approximately $700,000 in reduced annual revenue. Recent provincial policy decisions also impact the city's bottom line. This includes Bill 20 and how the 2025 municipal election will be conducted. This has now been ratified, and to hand count ballots and create a permanent electors list, which are both now requirements based on Bill 20's ratification, there's an estimated cost to the city of about $670,000. We will continue to monitor impacts on our organization from the forthcoming sitting of the legislature and advise council accordingly. It's anticipated that future opportunities to work with the provincial government will exist within the realms of the local growth and sustainability grant, affordable housing, school sites, and potentially the provincial education property tax as an alternate form of municipal revenue. Operating expenses per capita are calculated by taking the total operating expenses of the municipality and dividing it by its population. This is useful because it provides an indicator of how efficiently a city is operating. Simply put, the lower the operating cost per capita, the more efficiently a municipality is offering its services. Relatively speaking, we can see that while St. Albert offers some of the highest services and service levels in the province, the community is getting strong value for their dollar. We continue to ensure that as we manage our expenses efficiently as possible while balancing the needs of our residents for the services we deliver while investing in the future. Following graph displays a 10-year change in St. Albert's tax split history. It's a useful demonstration of the time it takes to move the dial, if you will, towards a more favorable non-residential tax assessment split. From 2015 to 2024, the city moved from an 81.9% to a 79.2% residential to non-residential tax split. Tax split refers to a portion of the annual municipal tax levy paid by the residential tax base versus the non-residential tax base. Non-residential taxpayers include commercial and industrial property owners within the city of St. Albert. In St. Albert's case, our tax split is more heavily reliant on residential taxes than non-residential taxes, which is relatively common for Alberta municipalities. As council has articulated, the long-term goal for St. Albert is to migrate to a more favorable non-residential tax split, which is more in line with that of many municipal comparators. This is a long-term strategy that requires the city to be investment ready to attract new non-residential development. While we have a high dependency on residential taxes, new projects, such as the recently approved Lakeview Business District servicing and Lakeview Business District at large, will have a greater impact on both our assessment and tax splits. I would be remiss, however, if I did not state that this is not the sole metric that we use for a financial stability lens. And though I'll not delve into the details at this time, the financial impact of different types of residential development and their long-term operational cost to the city in comparison to the revenue they generate in property taxes is also a key factor affecting our stability. This next graph compares St. Albert to 10 other municipalities in Alberta related to the average municipal tax increases. This graphic only represents municipal taxes and does not include provincial education tax. St. Albert is the fourth lowest tax increase average over the last 10 years at just over 2%. This is useful because it illustrates how hard the city has worked over the past decade and reflects also the decisions of council to minimize tax increases while maintaining exceptional service to the community. The average expense per capita illustrates that we have done more with less, and this shows that the city has also been able to achieve this with lower increases in comparison to some other municipalities who, quite frankly, are experiencing the same economic pressures that we are. As previously noted, the proposed budget was informed by the external factors that we've talked about. Council approves strategic services and service levels inventory and your strategic plan. And decisions made in previous budgets have an ongoing impact, specifically in infrastructure investments. This proposed 2025 budget focuses on maintaining high standards expected for the delivery of programs and services to our community, as approved by council and in response to community needs. Advancing the council's strategic plan in general and economic prosperity specifically to ensure we continue to support and enable non-residential development with a focus on the Lakeview Business District. Addressing capacity in some service areas and responding to community growth and investment for the future. In summary, the proposed budget was developed to maintain existing service and service levels. We continue to be impacted by the fluctuating economy, as is everyone, specifically significant inflationary pressures that impact the cost of delivering services to the community, which impacts about 81% of our budget. We have had to adjust to lower funding from other levels of government, increase government shares of revenue, decrease government shares of revenues and additional costs passed on to municipalities. Long-term financial stability remains a top priority. We have proactively managed expenses while maintaining a high level of service. We'll continue to focus on potential revenue generation opportunities, cost-saving initiatives, and processes efficiencies, as well as creating more opportunities for non-residential development while we advance council's priorities. With the background behind us, you thought I was done, but I'm not. We're now go to the actual proposed budget. We're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about the different components of the city's budget. The city's budget is divided into two broad reporting units, municipal and utility. Within the municipal and utility reporting units, it's further divided into the operating and capital budgets, as you would have seen in the video. The municipal operating budget has both base and growth components, and the capital budgets on both the municipal and utility sides have repair, maintain, replace, RMR, and growth components. As previously noted, the proposed municipal budget is built to maintain our existing services and service levels. These include direct delivery of services to the community and services that support and enable the delivery of services to our community, such as depicted on this slide. Based on council's priorities in the current environment, administration is presenting a budget of $142.2 million, which equates to a 4% increase. The 2025 to 2027 proposed financial plan and the 2025 budget document presents a budget of $142.9 million, which equates to a 4.5% increase over 2024. However, on October 1st, council approved an increase to the natural gas franchise fee from 20.3% to 25%, effective January 1, 2025. This increased revenue by about $750,000 and reduced the tax levy to 4%. The approval occurred after the completion of the proposed budget document and as such is not reflected in the document itself, but being articulated today. The 2025 budget increase can be broken down as follows. 3.9% increases or 3.9% increase is to maintain current service levels. A 0.2% increase reflects the increases asked by the library and the Arts and Heritage Foundation. And a 1.2% decrease in tax supported debt servicing due to the retirement of Service Place and Fire Hall 4 land debentures, exceeding increases in debentures from North St. Albert Trail and FCM loan for Fountain Park Recreation Center. The corresponding 1.2% increase due to a temporary reallocation of tax supported debt reduction to pay as you go. The proposed budget includes a $7.3 million in increased revenues, and ultimately, you can see the number of notes I've got in case you have any questions. And then ultimately, point worth finalizing, noting that just for math purposes, a 1% increase in our budget equates to about $1.3 million.
Did you say 1.3?
1.3 million. It's actually 1.34 million.
Okay.
If you want to get exact, do credit to the financial team to my left here. Looking at a tax impact per $100,000 in assessed value, the budget results in a $902 increase in the property tax bill, representing a $34 annual change from the 2024 budget, or $2 to $3 a month per $100,000. The distribution of tax dollars to the various service categories is illustrated in the donut on the slide. In total, 81% of property taxes go directly to the delivery of services to residents and businesses. The remaining 19% of property taxes is allocated to general government activities, which in addition to the budget for council's activities includes services that support and enable direct delivery of services to the community and council. These services include areas like legal, legislative, and record services, human resources and safety, financial and strategic services, information technology services, economic development, communications, public affairs, and the CAO office and council office. What we would probably term the corporate level services that enable those public facing deliveries. This should be clear without having to read it. In total, 18 business cases are being recommended for 2025, with 15 business cases being funded from assessment growth and 1 funded from a reserve. 2 business cases have not been included in the base budget, and the remaining 16 do not impact the 2025 tax rate. There is 1 unfunded council business case for administrative support as council transitions post next election into full-time positions in 2025. These business cases were prioritized and focused on legal and legislative compliance, the maintenance of existing services and service levels, and enhancing our corporate operational and planning capabilities to set the conditions not only for success today, but through the medium and long-term time horizons. In short, these are investments for both today, but in our future. We'll now move from the municipal operating budget to the municipal capital budget. The 10-year municipal capital plan has identified approximately 813 million in capital investment, of which 304 million is attributed to RMR, repair, maintain, replace projects, and the remaining 509 million is for growth-related initiatives. The plan includes various projects ranging from improvements to civic buildings, major road rehabilitation and expansion, and replacement of life cycle assets. As indicated by the projected available funding line, which is the gray line that works its way from left to right across the screen, the city does face a significant funding shortfall over the next 10 years. The funded line does not include the opportunity for potential debt financing, which will be considered as part of our long-term debt strategy, of which council is well aware. Without the current infrastructure funding deficit plan, the city will not only be limited in funding future growth projects, but in RMR as well. And that would happen when the gray line moves down to hit the blue part of the bar. Given the funding deficit, administration has prioritized capital projects against council-approved prioritization matrix to establish a recommended list of growth capital initiatives. This recommendation considers future funding requirements over the next 3 to 4 years. 2025 municipal capital budget includes 26 RMR projects for a total of $35.5 million and 9 growth projects for a total of $20.2 million, for a total of 35 projects equating $55.7 million. The city's capital infrastructure is grouped into 7 main asset categories. This has been established to assist in understanding the city's investment into different types of infrastructure. The categories include civic facilities. His money supports required structural improvements and features to civic facilities. This year's recommended scope includes municipal facility repairs and a transit garage expansion. Historical and cultural. This is preservation of historical and cultural significance, and this includes a Founders Walk Phase 3 project for 2025. Land and land improvements. This supports initiatives relating to land improvements and the requirement to purchase land. There are no charters in this category in 2025 at this time. Master plan, studies, and other. This establishes direction and plans for required current infrastructure. This year's recommended projects include roadway preliminary engineering and design, Badger land study, and some public art investments. Mobile and other equipment. This includes the management of scheduled maintenance and replacement of existing assets. Examples include replacement plans for emergency services, public works, and transit mobile equipment, and in IT. Parks and trails. Supports the repair and replacement of the city's existing park and trail network. This year's recommended scope includes Red Willow Park and the neighborhood park development. Roads and other engineered structures. This supports rehabilitating transportation networks, signage and sidewalks, roadway, arterial, and collector programs. This year includes active transportation network improvements, and neighborhood traffic calming. In summary, the 2025 proposed municipal budget has an associated 4% tax increase to maintain existing services and service levels. There are 18 business cases funded, of which 15 recommended for funding, of which 15 are growth business cases funded from assessment growth, not impacting 2025 taxes, 2 base business cases to support the existing subsidy program and the inclusive hiring program, and 1 business case funded from the reserve to support the 2025 municipal election. There is one unfunded business case totaling $23,000 to assist council as they become and transition to full-time positions post next election. This would require a motion to fund this business case. The proposed capital budget consists of 26 repair, maintain, and replace projects valued at $35.5 million, approved by council in June, and 9 growth capital charters totaling $20.2 million. Next, I'll review the proposed utility budget. In summary, the 2025 proposed utility monthly bill will yield an average increase of 7.2%. The proposed capital budget consists of 8 repair, remain, and replace projects approved by council in June, valued at $15.2 million, and 1 growth project valued at $0.1 million. The proposed capital budget consists of 8 RMR projects, as I just previously mentioned, and which you have already approved, valued at $15.1 million, and the additional growth project at $0.1 million. Our city's infrastructure is grouped into 4 main asset categories, and the services provided are summarized as follows. Water infrastructure. These projects include a rehabilitation of existing infrastructure and a water network level of service, which addresses system limitations with new or upgraded infrastructure to increase system capacity and improve fire flow. Wastewater infrastructure. Projects in this category include the rehabilitation and or replacement of existing infrastructure, including mains and services, and a level of service improvements to address service limitations or increasing capacity. This also includes the growth project of a non-potable truck fill. And finally, our storm infrastructure, which includes a sedimentation and erosion control plan to reduce the impacts to the Sturgeon River and some infrastructure rehabilitation. The estimated average household monthly rate increase for 2025, as noted, was 7.2%, making it roughly a monthly rate of $167.78. The increase in rates is due to the increase in supplemental capital contribution to support utility infrastructure and rate increases from external sources for water purchase and wastewater management and treatment. To sum up this afternoon's presentation, the 2025 proposed budget has been introduced as follows. The proposed municipal budget requires a tax levy of $142.2 million, which represents a 4% tax increase over 2024. The budget includes 15 growth business cases and 1 funded from reserves which do not impact 2025 taxes. 2 business cases have been included in the budget and are part of the 4% tax increase. 1 business case for administrative support as council transitions to full-time post next election is currently presented as unfunded. The municipal capital budget consists of 35 capital projects totaling $55.7 million. The proposed utility budget results in a rate increase of 7.2%. Finally, the proposed utility capital budget consists of 9 projects valued at $15.2 million. Thank you for the opportunity to present the recommended budget. I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the hard work of city staff from across the entirety of the organization, but in particular, those who stick-handle it across this particular finish line to begin your budget deliberations, which is finance and strategic services. To close, this slide outlines the next steps. With an anticipated budget approval or final approval scheduled for the 17th of December 2024. Through this process, council will consider, assess, debate, review, and finalize the following: the municipal and utility operating budget, the 2025 utility rates, and the municipal and utility capital growth. All of the meetings will be live streamed for any of the public or community who wishes to watch. More information on the budget process and how the public can participate is on budget.stalbert.ca. The budget document will be available to media and public on the city's website immediately following this meeting. And that concludes the presentation, pending your questions.
Awesome. You're presenting it per $100,000 assessment. And in the past, I think we've talked about the average house price. And what do we know what the average house price in St. Albert is right now? What that number might be? Don't worry about it. Or just maybe when we get into the budget conversation.
Yeah, we could pull it. I think the thought process behind the $100,000 was making it simple to do the math, right? Knowing that what my house costs, I can extrapolate. Yeah. It was a little bit harder when you've got the average house price, but for your deliberations, knowing what the average house price is, we'll source that and get it to council. Absolutely.
All right, and so today, just questions really about process, and how it's going to work over the next couple of weeks. So Councillor Hughes, go ahead.
This is just a quick one for the public. So I see on the agenda for Thursday that it does say public input. So people at each one of the questions can do public input. Is that including on the 5th of November, or is it fifth or what date was it? The special one, the 9th? Tell me which day it was.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's the 5th and it's at the tail end of the actual council meeting that day.
Right,
So as that transition occurs, yes.
okay. So, but will they also be permitted to speak at that one as well, or
Yeah,
if they want
yes,
to?
there's
I'm
no
not
reason why-
expecting.
Unless council decides differently, yes, the intent is they would be able
Okay.
to, Councillor. Yeah,
That's it. And so if people did want to communicate, participate, they would just contact legislative services, correct? I'm just saying all this so that if anybody's interested, they understand what to do.
absolutely, Councillor. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
All right, Councillor Killick.
Yeah, thank you. I had a similar question, but it was just related to, we've promoted a couple of times during today, where to find the budget document, which is great, but communication around the Cultivate the Conversation website is also super important to get the message out that residents can have input through that tool as well as public speaking. So just want to make sure we've got that lined up and ready to go under Cultivate the Conversation.
That I can assure council, absolutely. We do have our Director of Communications and Public Affairs. Maybe I'll ask Paul if you want to talk us briefly through the public engagement.
You bet. Thanks, Mr. Fletcher. Through the chair to Councillor Killick, the social media and news release and all of the public communication about the budget process, including the online survey, is going live this afternoon as we speak. I think buttons are probably being pressed in the background, and we will be promoting that heavily over the next couple of weeks, and we'll present the results of that survey to council no later than Monday, November 11th. So you've got time before the PM deadline to review those results. So, yep, we're pushing it hard.
Thank you.
Any further questions? How are you guys? Councillor Jolly, Councillor Broadhead, good? Okay. There is a motion, and I think it's the referral over to the committee of the whole. Quite often, when we have agenda reports, we're giving an alternate motion. So if anybody wants to just make a motion to accept the budget as presented, could save us a couple days. No takers? Okay, so let's go with the referral into committee. Anyone want to make that motion? Oh, sorry, Councillor McKay, go ahead.
That the proposed City of St. Albert financial plan and the 2025 budget be referred to the committee of the whole.
Awesome. Any comments on that?
No, being as there wasn't any first takers, I thought I.
Okay. All right, call for the vote. Voting closed and that passes unanimously. Marta, did you want to go through how this process will work?
Sure. So the next part of this is just to approve a couple of changes to the process and the procedure bylaw so that we can have seamless and smooth and efficient budget deliberation process. So there's a few motions in front of you here. So the first motion is to relax one of the rules in the procedure bylaw to allow the addition of agenda items without a special resolution. So we would basically waive that rule for the purposes of budget deliberations. That motion needs to pass unanimously in order for that rule to be waived. We're also proposing that any proposed amendments, the consideration of them will be postponed to the end. So that's why they're called postponed motions. So we're making a motion to allow us to do that throughout the process. And as well, we're making a motion or recommending that you make a motion to incorporate all of the postponed motions and budget information requests received to date to deem them as if they've been read into the record. So those don't have to be read into the record later. And then finally, we are recommending a motion to move into the committee of the whole so that at the end of this meeting, we can take a recess and just continue on throughout the following days of the budget deliberation process.
Awesome. Any questions on the process? How it works with committee? Guys have done this so many times. Can I get someone to make those 4 motions? Councillor Killick, you're first up.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That the following recommendations, one, that section 55 of the procedure bylaw 24/2022 be suspended for the 2025 budget deliberation to allow for the addition of information as required without formally amending the agenda. That this one requires unanimous consent. You want to continue reading or?
Yeah, keep going. Yeah.
Sorry, Mayor.
Oh,
so
did
I
you
would
want that one
recommend
separate
that one
because it's
separate.
unanimous?
Yes,
Okay,
please.
we can do that. No problem. Just the first one and then the other three can go together.
Yes.
All right. Is there any questions on the first one about section 55 of the procedure bylaw? All right, I'm going to call for the vote. There we go. Voting is closed and that motion passes unanimously. All right, Councilor Killick, keep going.
That consideration of the proposed amendments to the proposed 2025 operating and capital budgets be made during presentations be automatically postponed without the need to motion to that effect until all presentations have been completed. Number three, that the budget information requests and postponed motions received to date set out as attachment to the report dated October 22, 2024, entitled 2025 Budget Deliberation Process are hereby accepted as presented and deemed to be fully a part of the 2025 budget deliberation process as though they were read verbatim into the record, and for the council move into committee of the whole.
Sorry, go ahead. I just was looking at the postponed motions, but I was distracted. So I will, any comments on that?
Just these amendments will allow for a smooth budget process discussion, presentations, and input from the public, and no need to reread some of the other motions that have already been submitted.
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to call for the vote. Voting's closed. All right, that's the end of our special meeting agenda. So we are now recessed until Thursday. And I just got an email that the agenda is up for Thursday, if you guys want to look ahead. All right, we're done for the day.